Hello and welcome to MGTracey. Today we're at Icon Park again underneath the big wheel on IDrive Orlando, and we're going to be doing a behind the scenes tour of the Sea Life Aquarium here.
So in this corner we have two tubs, and it's filled with pieces of coral from the Florida Reef. The reason why we have them is an unfortunate one, as there's a disease running through the Florida Reef right now, and it's killing off coral communities very quickly. It started on the north side of the reef, and it's making its way towards the south side, but it hasn't gotten there just yet. And unfortunately the disease has a high mortality rate as well. So what we've done is, in a partnership with AZA, is that we have taken pieces of coral from the Florida Keys area of the reef where it hasn't been affected just yet. And here and other locations, we're just making sure they stay alive and healthy until it's safe to put them back out into the wild. Seahorses, as they were lacking a little bit of iodine in their diet. So what we're doing is called gut feeding, which basically we're feeding these mice strip a lot of iodine so that when our adult seahorses eat this, it's going to supplement the iodine that they need in their diet. If you kind of look right here underneath that little water filter thing, you're going to see a crab in there. He's gotten pretty big. His name the name given to him was Mick Jagger. He was a product of bycatch. Bycatch is when you accidentally catch the wrong kind of animal while you're fishing or receiving animals. So when we received in a shipment of mice and shrimp, he accidentally came with them. Now he's living in there, and once he gets larger, we're going to go put him out into our... And especially with lobsters, I'm not too sure about crabs, but lobsters specifically, they like to eat their shell after they've gotten out of it because it contains beneficial nutrients and regrowing their new shell. Each week, and 1,300 pounds of seafood each month. Every day after we're done feeding our animals here in our aquarium, we clean this room from floor to ceiling basically, and that's to stop the growth of any bacteria that could get onto the food for the animals the next day. It's also just one of the guidelines that we have to follow as part of the AZA. First for our aquarium, because everything over here deals with keeping our animals healthy. In our lab, we test for things like water quality, temperature, and salinity. Some of the main things we test for are nitrites, phosphates, nitrates, and ammonia. These are normal things found in everyday ocean water, any body of water that has animals in it. We have to make sure these levels don't get too high because it could cause things like burning gill sensations in our animals. Small fish in that blue tank right there that's on that stand, they're new. They came in late last night, and then I believe it's going to be kind of hard to see because they kind of put a cart in the way. But in that large tank in the back right now, there's two fish in there. They're bonnethead sharks, which are like little hammerheads. They're completely healthy. We're just waiting for them to go out next month for Shark Awareness Day or week. But any animal that enters into this room is going to be in here for a minimum of 30 days at a time. While they're in here, they're going to be isolated in their own water supply so they don't have the chance of getting any other animals sick while they're in here. But we'll try to run out with the animals. So right over here on this left side where that lady's sitting down right there, that's where they normally feed our king central shelly. So looks like she's feeding right now. So if we walk up to her, just give her a little bit of space. But we've been able to do things like establish a seal sanctuary over in the UK. Out in Iceland, we established a beluga whale sanctuary over in the ocean, and that holds 2 beluga whales right now that are named Little White and Little Gray. They were found in an aquarium in Shanghai, China, right over there. Out in Peru, we helped by adding LED lights to gill nets, and it actually stopped 100% of bycatch in those nets, which is great. And this right here is that cool Reef project I'll show you guys downstairs. But if you would like any more information about anything you see in here, you can always go to sealifetrust.org for more. And when we go into our tanks, more often than not, we're just going in very early in the morning before guests arrive to do things like clean off the water side of the glass and get sand off the top of the tunnels. And all of our divers right now are part of our aquarius team, so the same people who take care of our animals and make sure our aquarium keeps running are the people who are going to be going into our tanks. And they're all rescue certified at a minimum, which means that they're trained to rescue someone in a scenario where someone might need to be rescued in the water. The back of his shell does have an air bubble under it. Unfortunately, he was struck by a boat in 2009. It broke the back of his shell, and when it keeled over, it left an air bubble under it, which gives him buoyancy issues, so that's why his butt floats up in the air. And unfortunately, he was also struck before puberty, so he is really small for his age. 2 years old, he turns 23 in August. He's our largest and strongest animal here. He's 230 pounds. He could live to be about 100 years old and grow to be about 350 pounds. So right now he's about 3 years older than me, but he's probably going to outlive me as well. This right here is a porcupine pufferfish. She's our little girl puff. And then also some of my favorite animals in here, the small little bluefish. They're called blue stripe cleaner rats. So their job in our tanks is to clean off dead cells, parasites, and things like that from our other fish. So this is what we're feeding the fish here in this tank. It's called Nori. It's basically dried seaweed. It goes around things like sushi. I don't eat it. Some people do. I find it gross. But when you're feeding, make sure you hold it 2 hands so you don't accidentally drop it. Because if you do, I'm going to throw you in there so you can get it for me. The fish are going to have a pretty good idea of where you're about to put the food in. So you just want to make sure you lower it in slowly so you don't accidentally hit any of the fish in the head too hard on accident. I don't know if fish can get concussions, but if they can, let's do our best to not give them one. And the last thing is we just want to make sure this whole clip at the bottom stays under the water as we're feeding them so we don't encourage them to jump. Yeah. But they will eat it pretty quickly. You can kind of feel them nibbling on the end of the pole while you put it in. But there's a couple of fish in this tank that I like to point out where you guys are feeding. The small white ones with black stripes on them are called convict tanks. They're the quickest fish here in this tank, so they're probably going to eat most of your food just because they can get to it first. The blue fish in this tank that look like Nori from Finding Nemo are actually called Pallet surgeonfish. The reason why they're called surgeonfish is because they have a special scale by their tail that they use for self-defense. And that special scale that they have is as sharp as a surgeon's scalpel. The large dark